Okay, I hope this works okay. So this is the Hot Utils homepage. So assuming you've linked your in-game account to your Hot Utils account, and if you haven't done that, you've got to go onto the Hot Utils server, and I can't remember the exact process, but I think you message someone and then they explain how you do it. But just looking at the mod section, because that's probably what I use Hot Utils for 99% of the time, there are two bits that I use more than everything else, and they are the management bit and then the playground bit here. The management bit, you can basically do everything here that you can do in the game, but it just allows you to sort of mass slice things and mass sell things dependent on the type of mod or what color mod it is, what stats it's got, etc., etc. So if I just sort of briefly explain how the screen works, I actually haven't got a huge amount of mods that are unsliced at the moment. At the top here, you've got your settings, which let you know whether you're looking at equipped mods or unequipped mods. I tend to look at unequipped ones, and then once they've been sliced and what have you, I use the playground section to move them on to different characters. Here it shows you what materials you've got, so basically how many. So from here, so that's a grey dot, so I could take 264 grey dots through grey mods. I could take 264 through to a green mod, green to blue, blue to purple, purple to gold, gold to 5 dot, 6 dot, and then obviously the 6 dot increases there. So just need to be aware of that, because obviously you can use up materials very, very quickly on this. I always do sort by speed. You can do it by sort by offensive percentage or whatever, but speed tends to be the most useful, because then it will highlight what the mods you want to keep. This bit here, so these are all manual ones that I've added. Probably some of them I can get rid of, actually. I never ever used certain ones here, but what this basically does is it allows you to put filters on. So if I want to look at all my green mods that aren't fully sliced, what it will do is then put them in this little category here. Or if I go to grey unsliced, it puts all those ones here. So within each, if you just do create a new filter, and then we just do test, and you can change where you want it to go. It doesn't make a huge difference. I mean, I tend to put it in mods to slice, and then you can put a description if you want, and then you add a filter. Annoyingly, you then have to give your filter a name. So just say, for example, we only want to see arrow unsliced mods, just as an example. You would just click on that, so that's only ever going to filter mods like that. You can add secondaries stats that you want there, so speed's probably the one that you're most interested in, but you could add ones if you don't want it to have a stat there. That's whether it's a 5 or 6 dot mod. That's the color of the mod. But if, for example, you only want to see mods that are under 15, so they're basically not fully sliced mods, you just do that. And if you do OK and OK, and then if I just take that one off, so that test one there, see what it's done now is it's chucked all the mods in there that are not fully sliced and are arrows. And what I tend to do is I tend to go by mod type. So the most useful mods to have are golden mods, because you can see all the stats. The least useful ones to have are grey ones, because clearly there's a lot of things that could go wrong. And even if you took this mod here, even if you rolled a 5 speed, crit chance, crit damage, and health percentages, you'd still then have to get it to max level, and then slice it through all these levels before you might even get one speed roll. Whereas something like, let me find a good mod. I may not actually have any good mods. Yeah, I really don't. Okay, this one here is not too awful, I guess. So you've got a 3 speed there. You get 3 opportunities for that one to roll 3 times before you even have to fully, before you've even maxed out the mod. So what I tend to do is filter by mod type. So if I go into grey one now, you do select all, and then you've got these options here. Just be careful you never do select all down here, because you might accidentally sell all your mods which would be quite irritating. So just make sure you check how many mods you've got selected, and then you can do a thing where you do add to workbench, and all that does is chuck it up here. You can either do if you then do unselect all, and then you can pick particular ones and you can slice them or sell them, whatever you want to do. For the sake of what we're doing here, let's just select them all, and then if you look at this little 3-dot thing here, you can do it either by single tier, incomplete to expose all. So what it will do is it will work out if you've got blue mods, it will upgrade them all by 6 levels. If you've got green mod, it will do it by 9 levels. Grey ones, it automatically does it to level 12. So if I do that, it says, look, you're going to spend 1.5 million credits, which is quite a lot, but just for the sake of demonstration, let's stick with that. So if you go yes, and what it will then do, we never know, we might get a really good mod here. It feels unlikely. Okay, what it automatically does, because we've got it sorted by ascending speed, it puts the speed ones at the end. So anything that's got speed in, so if we just unselect them now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 have all got speed. Now I would just get rid of all the other ones because they're grey mods. They're, I don't see, I mean, that's not an awful mod, if I'm being honest. It's got, all percentages, but I can't really be bothered to hang around slicing that out. So I select them all, do sell, it gives you a little warning message, sell them, and then that's gone. And then if we look at the mods we've got here, just for the sake of, I've got quite a lot of credits, so I'm not too bothered about this. You can then go to max level, that'll be about another million. So you can spend a lot of credits doing this. With my other account, I spent about 25 million credits doing a full, I tend to do it once a month. And if we then slice these, and remember this is E to D, so I've got quite a lot of materials to do that. You can either do them one by one, or if you can just go, right, I'm going to slice them all into a green mod. Let's see what happens. I'm not really expecting anything wonderful here at all, but you never know. And I've got absolutely nothing good. So I haven't got any speed rolls at all. I'll be perfectly honest. Are there any worth keeping? No, I don't think so. I'm going to get rid of all of them. If one had rolled, got up to 10 speed or even 11 speed, I might have then taken it to blue. But I just think this is, there's nothing particularly, not great synergies there. That's an interesting mod, but I'm just not sure it'd do much. That's not an awful mod at all. But it's a crit damage one, and it's mostly defensive stats, so that's not a great synergy. So I'm going to sell all of them. So this is the management one. This is really for managing all your mods that are. I tend to use it for unequipped mods. You can use it for equipped mods. So if I go to, if I just change this one at the top here, it will then do only equipped ones. Oh look, I've got quite a few mods on people that aren't fully sliced. The danger, I think I always worry about here is that you accidentally do select all and delete all your mods, at which point you'd probably quit the game, or I would. So as you go further down, you get your quicker mods. So these are my really, really good mods. Oh, there's some nice ones there. And obviously within this section, if you wanted to put a filter where you were looking, for example, how many speed mods you had that only had 4 speed rolls. I mean, you can do it by looking at it really, but you could add a sort of filter on looking at that. So this one here, for example, although that's a pretty good mod on its own, you might want to say, okay, let's calibrate that and see if we can get it above 25 speed. Or this one here looks like I have calibrated it. Yeah, so or you could slice it. So this one here, for example, if I add that one to my workbench, hang on, what's it doing now? Okay, let me try and slice that one. Go on. Yes, I do want to slice it. Go on, give me some speed. Bet it gives me defense. Yeah, there we are. I hate you, game. Anyway, Um, I tend to use the in-game for slicing good mods. I tend to use the in-game functionality, but you can do it here. So you could do, I don't know, looking at your 5 dot mods that have got 4-speed rolls and slice them, etc. But I tend to find the actual in-game mod management is pretty good for, the sort of high-end slicing of it. And also I find it slightly more fun to see it when you calibrate and do it. But this management thing is really good for if you're just harvesting loads of mods and you've got, I don't know, 100 X spare mods, you can very quickly go through them, see which ones have got potential, and then work on them in the game. So that's how I tend to use this management bit. The playground bit is probably the most useful bit of Hot Utils. So so if you can imagine, the management is effectively how you're, I guess, making sure you've got the best mods you can just on your account. This is about how you assign them to the right tunes. So management is just, getting as many good mods as you can and getting rid of all the rubbish ones. Playground is about how do you make sure your best tunes get the best mods on them. You've got 2 different types of things in the playground. You've got templates and you've got loadout definitions, and then you've got loadout. It's important you know the difference. So a loadout definition is the weightings that you will ask this playground tool to sort of look at when it's looking at all your mods. So what will happen, I'll just show you an example. Okay, so I've created my own templates. I think there's a couple shared on. So Dwight has an account in our guild. He's Samuel Chang. So if I add his template, okay, what you can do is I will explain this slightly more when I bring it up. But what this is doing is Dwight has created a loadout definition, which probably has about 50 or so tunes where he's gone in and said, right, ideally you want the tune to have these sets, or you want it to have this speed, or it must not have a speed, like something like Droideka, you want him to have a low speed, so it must not have a speed over this. So what the tool will do is when it looks at all your mods, it will cleverly try and work out what are the best mods to put on those tunes. What Hot Utils also does is it will have default things for tunes. So an attacker, it will tend to prioritize things like offense, crit damage, crit chance, stuff like that. And equally for a tank, it will prioritize weightings around health and protection, tenacity, stuff like that. So the priority order is important because the tunes that you have at the top it will go through an order of where you've got your tunes. So your strongest tunes for you want to reorganize yourself. So what you can do is create your own definition on the back of it. If you click replace priority order, what that will do is that will change the priority order that you have and replace it with whoever's created this. Now, Dwight's main account will have very different tunes than the account I'm looking at here. So if I leave that unchecked, okay, and then I go back to units, what it's done now is you'll notice it's got all these red ticks and yellow ticks, etc. on there. So if I just look at Jedi Nuke Skywalker here, and it's taken the weightings from Dwight's thing here. I think you can actually change it per tune. It's quite clever. And if you click in there, look, what he's done is actually put targets within there, speed targets, and also said with primaries, these are the primaries that he wants. You can do sets as well. He hasn't done it here, but obviously it's saying for Luke, you want to prioritize protection, primaries, offense, obviously, and speed as well. But for all the tunes where you've got either a green, a red, or a yellow tick, that's what it's looking at doing. And where I said about the priority of things, if we let's say just drag Rose and chuck her in the bin. No, you just add her right to the top. Okay, just for demonstration. So, and you can move them around. Once you've moved them around, so if you've imported someone else's template and you move all your tunes around, it's a good idea then to do export loadout definition and save your own version of the definition, because otherwise every time you want to do a remod. I tend to do a full roster remod because it costs about 5 or 6 million credits. I tend to do that every month. It's useful to get your old definition back. Otherwise, every month you'd have to import someone like Dwight's one. It's better to have your own one that you're working on. And also for your tunes, you might want to go in and change these weightings. So you might say, actually, for gas, I don't think those stat targets are right. I don't have the mods to do that, so I'm going to drop it down to 80, or I'm going to go in and add sets, etc. You can do anything, and there's lots of resources online which will recommend different mod sets, or even on the Discord server that people will have a view on it. Any of these ones where there's no requirement here for R2, so you might say, actually, R2, he's very useful in terms of potency. So with weighting, I'm going to up his potency and I'm going to lower his speed. I don't know exactly how these numbers work. The bigger numbers, it will prioritize. And there you go, it's created it for R2. So once you finish doing all that sort of weighting and moving people or moving the tunes around, that is, whenever you run this tool, if you save this as your loadout definition, it's going to always try and prioritize tunes that way. So I'm just going to, just to show you how you do it, just do export definition and just do test loadout definition. You can put a category in there if you want, but it doesn't really matter, 5 versus 5. You can actually do this for a squad, so you can create a loadout definition just for one squad. You can share that amongst guilds. You can share it with a particular individual. It defaults as all characters in loadout, but you can change that if you only wanted to do it for a particular squad. So say you wanted to have a raid template or a GAC template where you just have your top 50 tunes, you can do that. I tend to just have a loadout definition for my entire roster. So once you do export, all you're doing is exporting that weighting, etc. out, and it's saved. If you then do automate, what automate will do is it will now look at the weightings that you've put to everything. It will look at all the mods you've got, including those unassigned ones. That's why this is better than something like the Grand Ivory, the GI optimizer, because that, I think, only looks at your equipped mods. So if you've just sliced a really good mod and it's just sitting unequipped, it won't look at it. This looks at all your mods. And then you click OK. Now, this may take a while. So it starts with Rose. Rose is going to get some good mods on her. Okay, it's not too awful. I know there's a couple of tunes that really slow it down. I think Magnagard does for some reason. All right, here we are. Yeah. I'm now regretting doing it. Oh no, that's not too awful. That's not too awful. So obviously it's taken quite a long time because it's looking at all your all your mod roster, looking at all your stats, etc., etc. Okay, and then it warns you. So it's saying with all these things here, it's not surprising it can't find good mods. I don't have Admiral Radis, or I do, but he's awful. So yeah, these are all the ones that will say, look, you set us these targets and we've not hit them, and then you do okay. If you then want to look at what's happened, so Rose, it is made pretty fast. It's not amazing actually. I haven't done a huge amount of work with Rose, but it will show you the impact. So down obviously means the stats gone down. These are your old stats on the left hand, the old mods, sorry, and these are all your new ones that's recommended. Imagine if I scroll down to R2. Where are we? Its potency's gone up a little bit actually. It's not gone up hugely, but it has put where I selected potency, it has put that potency one in there. Actually, it's made R2 quite a bit better, hasn't it? But yeah, it does. And then at the end of that, if you're happy with what it's done, you can go back and you can edit it and re-automate it. It's not doing anything. All it's doing is moving stuff around on this tool. Once you're happy with it and you want this to be your new mod setup, if you go to File and you do Save Loadout, so automatically does save loadout. And again, if we just do Test Loadout, I never really put a category in. You can put a description in for training purposes. push to game, be very careful. I don't normally do it here. I normally just save it. Now, the good thing about a loadout is it's much cheaper in terms of credits to assign. So if you do start moving mods around for things like territory battles, at the end of it, you can go in here, click on open loadout, select it, and it will just, and then if you then do, so if I now do review and do push to game, this will literally replace all my mods that I've got currently and replacing what we've got here. And as I say, that is about, it depends how many you're moving, but normally it's about 5 or 6 million. If you just moved a few, because sometimes I do use things like Grand Ivory for, I don't know if it's a galactic challenge or a raid or something, I might go in there and just pick the 5 toons and assign mods that way. It's a little bit lazy. And then afterwards, if you want to go, oh, hang on, I want to make sure it all goes back to normal because I'm about to join a territory war or GAC and it's going to lock my roster down, all you would do is go File, Open Loadout, select your test loadout that you've got there, and then Review, Push to Game, Push Mods, and that will then replace all the work you've done. That will be much cheaper. So it's not running the tool to look at what mods you've got and trying to match it. It's literally saying these specific mods. So this mod here that's currently on Armourer, it gets moved to Rose, and it will remember when we do it again that mod will go back on Rose. That's actually quite a good mod, actually. So yeah, so that's it. So management, mod management for managing your current mods, and I tend to use that for slicing unsliced mods and selling unsliced mods if they're not very good. Playground is for once you've got all your mods together, how do you get them to the best toons? How do you change the weighting so that, you know, someone like in fact his protection's not very good, someone like JML that you prioritize, you know, speed and protection and things like that. That's what you use this for. And so within the playground, you've got definitions, so loadout definitions, which are about the weightings and the stats that you want against each toon. And then you've got loadouts, which are specific mod setups for all your toons. So your loadouts, look, you can see here, June, May, April, I tend to do one a month just to try and keep the cost down. And that's it. Thank you.